So here's something interesting. The 15th BRICS summit held in Johannesburg is now done and dusted. 6 new members are joining: Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, Iran, Ethiopia, and Argentina. But first, let's get everyone up to speed on why BRICS is important. BRICS Plus is now an association of 11 major countries, distinguished by their emerging and growing economies. The group seeks to improve diplomatic coordination, reform global financial institutions, and ultimately serve as a counterbalance to Western hegemony. With these 6 new members, BRICS Plus becomes a real player on the global stage. The share of global GDP controlled by BRICS countries now stands at $30 trillion plus, or 31% of global GDP. BRICS Plus now represents 3.7 billion people, a major chunk, around 46% of global population. BRICS is set to play a much bigger role in the oil industry as well. This is mostly due to the admission of Saudi Arabia into the group. 40,000 barrels, or 43% of all oil produced per day on the planet, will now be coming from BRICS Plus nations. BRICS expansion will also grow the group's share of global exports to 25.1%, up from 20.2%. What many get wrong about BRICS Plus is that they think it's an anti-G7, thus anti-West thing. This thinking is flawed. For many years, the West has set the agenda on how and who and why countries fail or succeed, largely based on whether you agree with them or not. The Global South and the East have not had much say in how they grow and prosper. BRICS Plus offers just that: choice. Now let's have a look at what these new BRICS members bring to the table. With BRICS now becoming BRICS Plus and 6 new countries entering the fold, this progressive grouping of emerging countries now controls a large chunk of global GDP, trade, natural resources, and human resources as well. And for those asking what exactly the new BRICS members are bringing to the table, let me fill you in. Iran is a $368 billion nuclear superpower economy with 89 million people. It holds the world's second largest gas reserves and a quarter of the world's oil reserves in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia, a $1 trillion economy, the Persian Gulf's biggest political and financial heavyweight, and one of the world's largest energy suppliers. With an economy of $499 billion, the United Arab Emirates has the second largest economy in the Arab world. The UAE capitalizes on its petroleum and natural gas reserves as well as exports. Argentina is the second largest economy in South America after Brazil, with a GDP of $641 billion. Argentina benefits from agriculture, which accounts for 8% of its GDP. They produce and export beef, wine, soy, wheat, and other agricultural products. Ethiopia, one of the fastest growing economies in the world with a GDP of $156 billion, it's Africa's second most populous country. Egypt is one of Africa's heavyweights with a $385 billion economy, Africa's third largest economy and 12.5% of continental GDP. Egypt also has the third largest African population with 100 million inhabitants. With these new influential members, BRICS Plus is set to increase its agenda of common interest, shared economic value, and full respect for economic sovereignty. Next up, let's look at the proposed ideas around the BRICS currency. For BRICS Plus to really be impactful and offer an alternative, it needs a currency of its own. Starting up a new currency isn't easy, and it will be even harder for BRICS Plus due to so many socioeconomic divergences amongst the countries in the group. However, rather than pursuing a grand vision immediately, BRICS must look to take small, steady steps. These steps could start by settling trade in local currencies and not using the dollar. Next, they could establish currency swap agreements, then clearinghouses and other associated governance bodies to instill confidence amongst future users of the currency. Institutions like the FATF, the BIS, and the BCBS, which will be under BRICS control. So how and what can they value or peg the BRICS currency to? Well, the common proposal of backing the BRICS currency with a basket of mineral commodities like gold and energy products presents challenges for BRICS countries who don't have natural resources. Also remember that BRICS countries have limited control over the commodity pricing. The West still prices this, which also needs to change. So likely the long-term solution that I see is a BRICS Plus bond-like instrument that takes into consideration the value of a country's currency in a basket to find value relative to the others. Countries can then buy each other's goods and services pegged to the value of that aggregated BRICS bond-like currency instrument. Smarter people than me will be giving this a go, and I'm confident that they'll get it right for us. I don't really think they have a choice. Now let's talk current strategy. To understand how BRICS Plus nations are looking to cooperate going forward, we need to look into their economic partnership strategy from 2020 to 2025. They plan in 5-year periods and they change their strategy only once. This current strategy gives us a sense of what they are about right now. It focuses on 3 key areas. 1. Trade, investment, finance. 2. Digital economy. 3. Sustainable development. By adopting the BRICS economic strategy, the nations are showing their commitment to working together to confront new and existing global issues like financial instability and macroeconomic shocks. Some of these may seem like no-brainers. Many countries in isolation have been thinking about these reforms, but they haven't had the ability to execute. However, now, with the weight of an organ like BRICS Plus, it's become a little bit more probable. BRICS wants to protect its most vulnerable groups of people within its population. Food security will be key in this. Improving nutrition and facilitating access to food for all is an important facet of this, and this must include those living in rural and underdeveloped areas. What this strategy is really about is the improvement of the quality of life in BRICS nations. Only through mutual beneficial groupings can emerging nations truly ensure prosperity across all population groups and also future generations. That's what this is about. But we also have to talk about what could create stumbling blocks for BRICS to prosper. Politically, ideologies are very different in many of the countries. Democracy is not freely available, nor is it the dominant system in all the countries. Many believe that this could be a stumbling block. Geopolitically, there are issues between some member states. China and India not so long ago were facing off against each other in the Himalayan region. The Middle Eastern countries in BRICS have a bone to pick with Israel. I could go on, but I'm sure you're starting to get it. The economic situation of BRICS countries varies greatly. I mean, for instance, China is a $19 trillion economy and Ethiopia has $159 billion. And this discrepancy might create an imbalance in decision-making bodies with regards to funding of projects and generally voting on policies and strategies. Socially, people in BRICS countries live, talk, and hold differing views on what's important to them on the ground. These may create friction with people-to-people interaction and exchanges, which are very key to how business people understand and relate to each other. When it comes to technology, China is miles ahead and the others aren't even out the blocks yet in comparison. Well, maybe India is chasing in some or other way. Also take into consideration that the laws and their enforcement greatly differs across the bloc. I mean, Saudi Arabia has a criminal justice system based on a form of Sharia law, while in South Africa, well, you know, Mzansi. Thus, doing business and the applicable laws become highly complex when you start to cross borders. But with all this said, it must still be understood that BRICS countries are looking to act and engage only where mutual benefit and interest exists and allows. This global shift in politics isn't by chance. It comes as a result of Western financial aggression and adverse influence on much of the global South and the East. For a long time, emerging countries have had nowhere to go. They have not had a place where their voice is truly heard, where they are seen as true partners. For those of us who live in the South, we are putting a lot of hope into the BRICS project. We want it to be a success, and honestly, it's not a this or them thing. It's not a West versus East, it's an and situation. The BRICS bloc is aiming to promote peace, security, economic development, and cooperation that benefits everyone. Is this such a really bad thing? As the global South, we've been looking for a choice, and this BRICS thing right here might just be what the emerging South has been looking for: hope. Let me know what your thoughts are on this BRICS Plus topic. Let's engage in the comments. Let's find commonality. Let's find common ground. And if we don't, that's also fine, as long as we're trying, engaging, and looking for solutions. Thank you for watching my very first video on this channel. Here we are hoping to take our short-form socioeconomic data-driven stories that have gotten such great responses on vertical platforms into something you can enjoy right here in long form. We've appreciated the support we've gotten from you guys so far, And we're hoping that this translates into an engaging long-form YouTube conversation. We won't always get things right, but we want you to debate with us and keep us honest. Let's go on this knowledge-sharing journey together. My team and I truly appreciate you staying this long into the video, and we're hoping to see you back soon. Tamak.